Removed. The entire Amos, Farmhouse Notebook, 1943, Sherman tank claim, 47 competitor. Japan Automobile Research Institute lab test, 1971 to 1972 GM Service Bulletin. Argonne National Laboratory, 1987 study with exact hardness, friction multipliers. The Hawkettler ledger and its dated quotes, the letter from Amos with the Eastern Pennsylvania mine, and the borescope comparison. None of these documents, studies, or people are verifiable, and several, the GM Bulletin, the Argonne numbers, match no real publication. Removed. The specific 68% friction reduction. 800,000 triggers 180,000 mile averages, 6 times harder, 11 times less resistance, 14 psi compression gain, and $9 billion industry figures. None are sourced to anything real, kept and verified. Molybdenum disulfide, MOS2, is a genuine solid lubricant additive with a layered crystal structure that shears easily between layers. Peer-reviewed tribology studies, e.g. a 2022 Scientific Reports paper, show real but modest friction and wear reductions, on the order of tellurium 19 to 20% at very low concentrations, roughly 0.01 or 0.07 W%, far from 68%. Kept and verified. The EPA-driven reduction of zinc tritium phosphorus, ZDIPE, in modern oils to protect catalytic converters is real and is a documented concern for older flat tappet engines. Reframed, the banned, suppressed conspiracy narrative into a plainer structural explanation. Dealership service revenue depends more on repairs than on cheap maintenance, which is a real, unremarkable incentive, not a cover-up. Reframed. Added genuine debate, caution around solid MOS2 powder added directly to a crankcase. Some lubrication engineers warn undissolved solid particles can be caught by the oil filter, or settle out rather than plate onto bearings, which is why most modern moly additives are dissolved organomolybdenum compounds, like MODTC, rather than raw powder. The script now presents this as a real contested practice rather than a proven miracle fix. Removed all references to a specific religious cultural community, replaced with a neutral description of an off-grid, repair-it-yourself household, per house style. Softened absolute claims, will last 1,000,000 miles, permanent, never rust wear again, to hedged language reflecting genuine uncertainty and engine-specific variability. You already own an engine that is, statistically, going to die of friction long before it dies of anything else. Not a blown gasket, not a cracked block. Friction, the microscopic scraping of metal on metal every time it starts cold or hauls a load before oil pressure fully catches up. And there's a gray powder, cheaper than a candy bar, that a small community of off-grid mechanics has been quietly stirring into their oil for decades, on engines that have outlasted 3 trucks parked next to them. I first saw it in a workshop with no power line running to it, lit by a kerosene lamp, where a single-cylinder engine had apparently been running since the early 1960s on its original bearings. The owner kept a coffee can of gray powder on a shelf and measured it out onto folded paper like he was portioning flour. He wasn't selling anything. He didn't have a channel or a storefront. He just had a machine that refused to wear out and a habit passed down from people who couldn't afford to buy a new engine when the old one failed, so they made sure it never did. Here's the problem with how most of us maintain an engine. We change the oil. We buy the additive with the loudest label at the auto parts store, and we hope. But read the fine print on a lot of those bottles, and the friction fighter you paid $15 or $20 for is mostly base oil with a small fraction of active ingredient, often just 1% or 2% by weight. You're paying for packaging and a marketing claim, not much chemistry. What that workshop was using instead was something much older and much simpler, molybdenum disulfide, usually shortened to moly or MOS2. It isn't folklore. It's a real solid lubricant with a genuinely unusual structure. Picture stacked sheets, like a deck of cards, where each sheet is bonded tightly within itself, but only weakly to the sheet above it. That means the individual layers can slide past each other with very little resistance, even though the material as a whole is hard and heat stable. It's the same basic principle that lets graphite leave a mark on paper without gouging it. Industrial greases built around moly have been used for decades on heavily loaded machine parts. Gears, bearings, chains, anywhere metal surfaces need to slide under pressure without a thick liquid film getting squeezed out. The reason it isn't the first thing every quick lube shop reaches for isn't a cover-up. It's simpler and, honestly, less interesting than a conspiracy. A shop makes far more money selling you a $4,000 repair than a $15 additive, and a bottle that claims to prevent that repair doesn't fit neatly into their business. That's not a secret plot. It's just how incentives work when the thing that's good for your wallet is bad for someone else's invoice. Worth knowing, not worth getting paranoid about. Now, does moly actually deliver a measurable benefit in a real engine? Independent lab studies say yes, but with real numbers, not million-mile fantasies. Peer-reviewed tribology, research testing MOS2 nanoparticles as an oil additive has recorded friction coefficient and wear scar reductions in the range of roughly 15 to 20% at very small concentrations, a fraction of a percent of the oil's weight. That's a genuine, useful improvement in boundary lubrication, the moment right after startup or under sudden load when the oil film is thinnest and most of your engine's wear actually happens. It is not friction approaches zero, and it is not a guarantee your engine will hit 1,000,000 miles. It's a real, modest edge, and over hundreds of thousands of miles, modest edges compound. There's also a genuinely documented reason older engines in particular can benefit from extra anti-wear protection. Starting in the mid-2000s, regulators pushed oil formulators to cut back zinc and phosphorus, ZDP, because those elements, while great at protecting older flat tappet camshafts, can poison catalytic converters over time. And that's real, it's on the record. And it's why a lot of pre-2000s engines running modern oil see faster cam and lifter wear than they did on the oil they were designed around. A supplemental anti-wear additive is a genuinely reasonable response to that specific problem, not a scam. Here's where I have to be straight with you though, because this is where a lot of miracle additive videos stop being honest. Adding raw, undissolved moly powder directly into your crankcase is a debated practice among lubrication engineers, not a settled one. Solid particles that don't fully disperse can get caught by your oil filter instead of reaching your bearings, or settle out over time instead of plating onto metal. That's exactly why the commercial moly additives you'll find in quality gear oils and engine oils today are usually organomolybdenum compounds, molychemically bound into an oil-soluble molecule, rather than loose powder. If you want the benefit with the least risk, a reputable oil already formulated with an organomolybdenum friction modifier, or a well-reviewed liquid moly additive from an established lubricant company, is the more defensible choice for a daily driver. If you still want to go the traditional DIY route the way that Off-Grid Workshop did, the general process looks like this. Start with an oil and filter change using a basic conventional oil, since synthetic base oils already contain friction modifiers that can compete for the same bonding sites. Warm a small amount of technical grade MOS2 powder sold by industrial lubricant suppliers in a portion of the same oil you just added, stirring it by hand for a couple of minutes so it disperses rather than clumps. Add the mixture through the fill cap, then run the engine at a fast idle, no load for around 10 minutes once it's at operating temperature, so oil pressure and heat can carry the particles through the galleries. After that, drive normally and don't rush your next oil change. Because opinions differ on how well solid powder plates and stays bonded, don't expect it to replace a maintenance schedule. Treat it as a supplement to good oil changes, not a substitute for them. A few honest limitations: this will not fix a rod knock, will not unwear a badly scored cylinder, and will not stop blue smoke from worn valve seals. Those are mechanical problems that need mechanical repairs. If your engine already has significant internal damage, moly can sometimes quiet things down temporarily by filling worn clearances, but that's a stopgap, not a cure. And you shouldn't mistake a quieter engine for a fixed one. And if you're not comfortable sourcing and handling raw industrial powder, there is no shame in getting the same active chemistry from a bottle formulated by people who do this for a living. What this all comes down to is not a secret the industry is hiding from you. It's a genuinely useful, unglamorous bit of chemistry that got crowded out by louder marketing and easier profit elsewhere. The people who kept using it weren't in on some hidden truth. They just never had the money to replace an engine, so they took maintenance seriously in a way a lot of us stopped doing once credit made a new vehicle easier than a careful one. You don't need a farmhouse notebook to make a smart, well-informed decision about what goes in your crankcase. You just need someone willing to tell you what's actually been measured and what hasn't. That's what Hidden Fix Lab is for.